Break 19. It's your boy Chicken on the line, coming back at you for another episode from a very nice, cool, warm evening here in interior Alaska. Let's get going. So, welcome back. Appreciate you coming back for another show. Let's get started. Pretty interesting topics today, if I say so myself. So, we're going to be talking about the new trend now, I guess it is, with the self-driving taxis. Google has one going. It's called Waymo. Turns out GM just announced today or the day before that there was one being developed from them that they're trying to get going within the next year or two. I forget exactly what the article said, but that was just today. So this is a new thing. For whatever reason, it's Austin and Phoenix are the two big cities for it. I know Google's Waymo, which used to be the Google car, Google Drive, not Google Drive, that's, a shared drive, but I forget what it's called now. But back in like 2013, 2014, it was Google's first attempt at a self-driving car, and they were one of the first ones to get into it and actually make it happen. I think it was in Seattle or Portland, if I remember off the top of my head right. And, okay, cool concept, whatever, and you never heard about Google's version of it. Well, I'm sitting here watching YouTube, and I keep getting ads for this Waymo, and it's like, you can get on your phone and call a car to you, but no one drives the car. The car just kind of shows up. Interesting. So, self-driving cars, yeah, okay, cool. I mean, it's, what's that movie? Fifth Element. Is it Fifth Element? Or the one on Mars with Bruce Willis and all that? Or not Bruce Willis. It's, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not even sure I'm talking about the same movie. But either way, it's some sci-fi stuff. Cars driving around with no one in them. And, of course, Tesla's been trying it out. And it's been, 50 companies that have tried it and have been working on it over the past 5-10 years. And if you remember Tesla, their cars have a tendency to, use people as speed bumps. Because that's what you want. That's always a great thing. So, what they're kind of pushing is, the whole safety, an autonomous car, it can't drive tired. It can't drive drunk. It can't, make mistakes like an actual driver can. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Well, until you hit a bug on that sensor. So, a little bit of story time. So, growing up on a big truck, right? I remember when this, I forget what it's called now, but it's made by Meritor. They make a lot of stuff for big trucks, and it was like a crash avoidance sensor, and it was on the front of the truck, and if it sent something in front of you was stopped, then it would lock the brakes up on the truck, right? Well, I mean, in theory, great idea. Until you go under an overpass. And it sees that overpass and it's like, wait, what's that? There's a big thing there. It's not moving and it's right in front of us. And it decides to stop. And it slams on the brakes, You're just sitting there cruising. You're not thinking about it. It's an open interstate. Who cares? And, but yeah, that sensor will see that overpass up there and like, nope. And then hit your brakes for you. And it's not just like easing on them. No, it's slamming on them. It's going to make sure that you're aware it exists. So, what sketches me out about self-driving cars is it's the same technology. Granted, it has gotten a lot better. At least I hope it has. And we're taking that technology, and instead of just making it, control the brakes for, a short period of time, it's controlling the whole car the whole time. Cool idea, yeah. And if you can make it work, it'd be awesome for taxis and stuff. Or would it? Yeah, I get the safety aspect of it, for sure. If you're on a set road. The car knows it has. Let's assume it's got great sensors to keep it from running over people, running over other cars, um, turning out in front of someone, at whatever. Let's assume that all that's good to go and is sorted out. Then, yeah, sure, great for taxis because you wouldn't have to pay anyone to drive them. You just buy the car, tell it like, hey, you're going to run this route, whatever, whenever someone gets on their phone, puts in like, hey, I need a ride from here to here, car goes, picks them up, takes them where they need to be, cool, done. I don't see a problem with that. That's pretty cool. It's just making sure the technology works. And I really don't quite think we're there yet. I don't know. I mean, I haven't done an enormous amount of research into the subject. I just figured I would talk about it because that's what you do on the internet is you talk about things without knowing what's going on. But no, it is a cool concept, and I mean, obviously, as much as it's taken off and as many things as are going on with it, there's obvious improvements. It's obviously working, and the amount of accidents and the amount of safety concerns for a autonomous vehicle are getting better. If you remember, 4 years ago, I guess, there was a company. It might have been Freightliner, but I think it was someone using a Freightliner truck. I may be wrong. I know it was a Freightliner truck, but they actually got approved in the state of Utah to start doing tests with a self-driving big truck. With a 53-foot trailer and all on, public interstates, public highways. That's pretty sketchy. Because when does it go from, the helpful robot that drives the truck to maximum overdrive? I don't know. That may be the sci-fi in me talking, but I don't know. That stuff kind of sketches me out. I'm not sure if I know if I'm all in on it yet or not. I definitely don't want my vehicle to self-drive. I'm pretty sure if my Jeep could drive itself, it would immediately plant us both into a light pole. They say that a mechanic's vehicle is the worst maintained. I don't run mine easy. I'll put it that way. So, carrying on with that, with GM's new announcement, they're going on board with it, and they're wanting to go for an autonomous taxi. I think it's a pretty cool idea, in all honesty. That's definitely the application for it. Because then you don't have to deal with anyone. You just get on your phone, and you're not even talking to, a dispatcher. You're just sending a note or a note to the car through an app like, hey, come pick me up and take me here. Sweet. I don't see any problems with that. That would actually be kind of nice. Especially if you're having a bad day and you just don't want to deal with anyone. That's better than getting an Uber driver that wants to sit there and just constantly talk to you. I'm like, no, leave me alone. I got better things to do. Like, just get me home or get me to where I need to be. But yeah, so I think GM getting on board, that's pretty cool. That there's some pretty big support. That's not Google trying to do less than moral things. Yeah, that's another topic for another video. That would be an interesting one. So, talking about GM, can we talk about what their design department's been on for the past 5 years, 6 years? GM, since ever, has always had some really good-looking vehicles. They have always had fairly easy to work on, some of the easiest in the business. They've always pretty simple, pretty reliable, and they've always had a look to them that it just worked. It looked great, and of course there were some bumps in the road. Let's go with Saturn. Literally anything that Saturn made. Then you have the Pontiac Aztek. That was a questionable decision. A lot of mid-90s Buick. Okay, well, yeah. But at the end of the day, they always had the Camaro that always looked great. They, every generation of Camaro has looked really good. I mean, even the Catfish Camaro. I mean, it's got its charm to it. I would absolutely buy a Catfish Camaro. Their trucks have always looked good. Every generation of a Chevrolet truck has been great until 2018 when they decided to make the Camaro look like a spaceship out of a really bad 80s sci-fi movie. They decided to put the motor in the wrong place of the Corvette and make it way too expensive and break a lot. Changed the design of one of the best V8 motors ever built. I don't know whose idea it was to redesign the LS. They had a great thing figured out, and they decided to fix it, and they made it worse. That's probably the worst thing they did since the cylinder cutout. I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but the cylinder cutout where, it went from 8.64, whatever. But they somehow made it worse. So it's more efficient. Shut up. It's worse. It's not an LS. It's actually not an LS anymore. It's a LT motor, I think now. They went back to the LT name, which is kind of insulting to the LT name because the LTs were great motors too. Basically, cast LSs or, slightly different design, but they still were, it was the same motor. A lot of parts interchangeable. They gave the trucks way too much grill. It's like they could have literally gave any of the trucks more headlight and moved the center of the grill down, and it would have been a fine looking truck. The rest of the truck honestly don't look that bad. I mean, it's not great. The mirrors are, they changed a mirror that they've had for 25 years that looked awesome on every generation they put it on, and then some. And they gave it like a 3-step mirror, and I'm not even gonna go with that. I don't get it. And then something that everyone has been doing over the past couple of years, and making tailgates do way too much stuff. There's no reason for a tailgate to open in 8 different ways. When I buy a pickup, I want my tailgate to go up, and then I pull a thing, and then it goes back down. Okay, a little step off the bumper, or a step coming out of the top of the tailgate, that's pretty cool. I gotta give Ford credit. They did that one right. They gave you a nice little step that comes right out the top, the top of the tailgate right there, folds down. That's cool. I like that. But Chevrolet has like an 8-way tailgate, and there's so many different ways to open it. It's like, why? Why did you do that? Why? Who is going to use any of that? Give me a tailgate that goes up and down and back up again. Why is that so difficult? Why? Why GM? Why have you done this? There's no point in it. At least Chrysler did something right with a tailgate that, it goes up and down, and then it's also a barn door. Okay, that's useful. I could see where you could use that. It's still way too complicated for a tailgate, but at least it makes sense. Then you have everyone going all in with the crossovers. Seriously, what is the deal with crossovers? They are the slowest, most boring, well, I won't even say slow, because they do put like decent power plants in them. But they're boring. Every one of them looks the same. I swear, with the exception of a front clip, look at like an Equinox, like a Nissan Rogue, any mid-size or smaller crossover that Ford makes, they all look the same. Like, they literally all look the same. And they're really expensive. And again, they're just boring. They're not fun to drive. They're A to B cars that cost $40,000. Why? Like, wait, how did that get to be the market standard? Another thing that really irritates me with how GM does stuff is they have a clear dislike of headlights anymore. If you noticed over the past 10 years, every generation, every new body style update, the headlights on a GM have gotten smaller. And now, I think it was the Equinox I was looking at last night. I was watching a video and it came up, and it's just the DRLs are just two little strips. Like, they can't be any more than an inch and a half wide all the way around. And then the headlights are just two little round pucks. And then it's like all body panel. It looks so bad. What is your deal with headlights, GM? Put a nice set of lights on something that's actually useful and actually looks good. I swear, their design department they're sitting in their board, and they're just sitting there and like, oh, here's an idea. So we can do this and this and this, and we can make it, like this. Cool. How's that look? I think it looks pretty good. All right, do the exact opposite of that, and then we'll call it a day. And they've done that for every model since 2018, 2019. And it's like, GM, I love you. I've probably owned 20 GM vehicles. My actual first car was a Pontiac. My first newer truck was a GMC. I've had countless square bodies, few Suburbans, and it's like, come on. That they were doing so good, their whole run up until this past decade, and then they're like, okay, you know what, our time to be good has passed. It's time to go do something else and suck. Let's just do that. I hate it. I really do like GM. I like GM vehicles. I like working on them. They're pretty much all the same. They always have been as far as maintenance-wise. They don't make anything way too complicated. They also don't make a lot of stuff make sense, but, if you work on them, for every 10 things they get right, the 11th thing is like, if you would have moved this a quarter inch to the left, it would have been genius. But now I have to put 2 extensions and a wiggler on there to get to anything. Sweet. So, yeah, GM has been on one, and I, for the life of me, have no idea what any of that's about. I don't know. That's above my pay grade. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Do you like the new stuff that General Motors is making? What Chevrolet and GMC and all are coming out with? I know the new Cadillacs, yeah, they're cool cars. They're still $100,000 Cadillacs. I mean, it's what you come to expect out of a Caddy. But they've gotten more boring. Remember that nice run in 2010, 2011 when the CTSs were big? They were like, okay, yeah, we're your grandpa's car, but you know what? Grandpa's got something figured out. They're going back to that old white dude car. They're taking the power back out of it. They're making it just exist. They're yeah, it's a fancy car. It's a comfortable car, but it's just another one of them. There's no difference between a $100,000 Cadillac and a $50,000 Lexus. Why? Why is that a thing? Why is that something I'm having to bring up? Come on, Detroit, or wherever y'all are designing stuff at now. I know y'all have been building stuff in, Canada and Mexico for, 20 years, 30 years. But I don't know where the designs actually come from, but GM design department, please, for the love of anything on wheels, make something good for once. Figure it out. I want to be able to go back to a GM dealership and actually see something that I would somewhat want to buy. They were on something so good with with the last gen Chevrolet truck. That they kind of went back to the square body design, but it was kind of updated. Interiors haven't been good since like '03, but we'll let that go. We're just going for street looks for now. They were on something so good and then they went and ruined it. Tends to be how it is, ain't it? But that's about all the time I have for this evening. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to see if y'all like the new generation of cars that are coming out, or if they all look the same. That's kind of where I'm at. They all look the same anymore. There's no point in them. There's no point in new ones. Go find something interesting. But yeah, let me know what y'all have to say about it. I'm gonna call it a night. Go make me some macaroni and cheese and watch some TV. So, y'all be safe. Keep the shiny side up. I'll catch y'all on the next trip.